Well, thank you very much. One of my criteria was to meet someone who wants to have children. I didn't mind if they had children. I didn't have any. So I needed to find somebody that was young enough and wanted to get going. They
Yeah.
wanted to meet someone, and it wasn't about love bombing. It was just like 1 or 2, 3 years down the line, let's have kids.
Yeah.
And I was old enough to have kids already. So I needed someone that was going to appreciate my position, but understand that, look, if you like me enough, we can navigate this situation and whatever. And we did. But anyway, in this process of identifying 2 or 3 people out of the 30 replies that I was getting, and I liked, because obviously you're swiping which way because you like someone and you like their photo, like you said, people will bring their best self to
Right. That's the one sort of
in their bio.
question, right?
Well, you'd think that, wouldn't you? There've been some awful pictures and awful, and your bio is your CV, your profile on a dating site. Some pictures, and I'm not just talking about women. I'm talking about men as well. I've seen some god awful pictures that don't do people justice. Put a nice picture on there. Put a nice smile on there.
Yeah.
No, a frown, or excuse my language, a finger,
Oh
a
my. See,
finger.
I've never been on a dating
I
app.
don't
I've never gone
understand
on
that.
one. Yeah.
Why
So
would you give why would you give your finger, excuse my language, your finger to
yeah.
a picture on your profile? That just says, nah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going there. Anyway, what I found was this is how I got into coaching. I found myself in a situation where I was asking the question, I was getting the answers, I was putting them together, and I was thinking, well, we're not compatible. And I was going back to that person in the inbox and saying, look, you're a lovely profile, you sound lovely, whatever, but we're not compatible. And the answer would come back, why not? And I'd say, look, for these reasons. And that's how the process
Sure.
developed.
Sure.
I'd identify why we wasn't compatible. I'd explain to them, this is what you need, not
Yeah.
what you want. You want me, you like me, you fancy me, you like this image. I like you. But what we need, I can't get from you and you can't get from me.
Right.
I've
Right.
identified that. And they would say, you're completely right. Thank you for telling me that. I wasn't just ghosting them and disappearing. I was explaining why we weren't compatible. The beauty of that was I was getting a really nice answer back from the person saying, thank you very much. What do I need? And I'd explain what they
Oh,
needed.
oh, isn't that
And
interesting?
I'd say, go and use this question yourself. You need this type of person.
Right.
When you get the answer, come back to me and I will tell you whether you're compatible in the first
Oh,
instance. We're trying to identify a foundation to build a relationship. The circus question is the tool that gives us the foundation. Okay. The foundation being a healthy one.
yeah.
So if we're identifying toxicity, just walk away, pass and go. Do not stop. If you play Monopoly, do not stop at go.
Right. So let's identify the perimeters of toxicity. Can we do that,
Yes, of
Andreas?
course.
Because not all. So here's what I want to be respectful towards. And we talked about the spectrum. So as you said, the lion at one end and the lion tamer at the other end. Now, just because you're a lion tamer doesn't necessarily mean it's toxic to
No,
some
not to the
people.
lion. Not
No,
to the
not
lion.
exactly. So, can we do perimeters of what you would identify as a toxic relationship and how people should perhaps look at, we hear words like red flags and
Yeah,
so forth, but that doesn't mean these are bad people. It's just their
not at all.
relationship isn't going to work for those reasons. So, can you identify that for us?
Okay, firstly, let me say every single role that's picked by anybody is perfect for them. Okay?
I get that.
Every single role. There is not one bad role. If you identify as circus activist, you hate circuses, you want to burn the place down, you do not want to take part. The answer to the question is why I don't even want to be in the circus.
Right.
That's a role. That role of activist is a person that's opinionated. They fight for their rights. They want to lead a relationship. They're quite strong. Circus activist is actually in the same zone as ringmaster.
Oh, okay.
It's a seven. So they're not. at the top end, which is extreme, they're balanced, but the top end of balance. So they're very, they're activists because they believe in their values
Sure.
so strongly. They need a partner that respects that, but they also would like a partner probably that goes with their values. Correct?
Right.
So, every role is perfect for the person picking it. Um, if you picked bearded lady, if you picked bearded lady, that would be perfect for you.
Right.
Yet for bearded lady, that's a unique role because they rely on their controlling their relationship because they're insecure. The
Oh,
role of bearded lady, if you watch the Greatest Showman, she has got an amazing voice. She is the star of the show, if you like. But but as a person in relationship, the bearded lady is insecure. So they use their control to help them navigate that relationship. So they
right.
need somebody who supports them. So
Right.
their bearded lady's actually 8.5, very controlling, but controlling because of the insecurity they feel. Like the lion tamer is insecure. The
That's
traits
what I
of
was
lion,
going to ask you. Is a lion tamer insecure? Because it would seem to me that someone who's in that position is in fact underneath insecure because they need to be in
exactly that.
control and they need to know everything's going to work out because they can't take chaos.
Exactly what you just said. They need to be in control to navigate the relationship of insecurity and jealousy that they feel, right? So a lion tamer, if they're dealing with, if they're dating, say for example, a magician, okay, a magician is a 7.5. If you add that 7.5 and 9 together, you'll get 16.5. That's off the scale of 10.
Right.
That's the indicator. The value of the score, adding the two together, is the indicator that there's overwhelm in that relationship. Okay? It's very the lion tamer can't be underwhelmed.
Okay.
They can't the lion is the lowest, it's a one.
Right.
Yeah. So they can't be underwhelmed. They need somebody that's going to support them and do everything. They need to be heard. A lion tamer needs to give instructions and get yes sir back, whether male or female. They
Right.
need the yes sir. It makes them feel secure. It's not abuse. The lion is not, it's called consensual. Okay. It's consensual. We're not talking about abuse here. We're not talking
No,
about the lions
yeah,
beating hence the why in the question. What actually would be and why? If you ask the guy or the woman or whatever, and they say, I'm a lion tamer. And they said, why? And they go, well, I like to whip my lions and whatever. And you'd be like, oh, excuse me, bye. That's not really the relationship I want. You see, you want to abuse the lions? Whereas
right.
most people say, I really care about the lions and I want to tame, I want to nurture them and stroke them. I love my cats.
Yeah.
Because lion is generic. It could be tiger trainer. It
Right.
could be big cats. In the app, we say lion tamer. But if you can't find your exact role, Black Panthers, cheetahs, whatever, people
Oh,
come out
sure.
with strange stuff. Go for the big cats. Just lion tamer is generic.
This is very
So
interesting to me because you're really going down a road of personalities that have it's interesting that you picked the circus because there's so many varieties of people
that's the
and
reason.
yeah, so it really does allow people to evaluate their lives and evaluate where they're going in their relationship. But my next question to you, and this is going to throw off the whole system just for a moment. So
Oh,
when we're young, we meet people and we get married. And I've been married a couple of times. My first husband passed away also, but we were divorced before he did. And he was a wonderful person. We were just extremely young, and our personalities changed. Not personalities changed. That's the wrong thing. We grew apart, and we were
okay.
young when we were together. So does that identify, Andreas, in this? So when I married my husband that I mentioned before, I was already 32. I already had children. He had a family. He was much older than I was, and our compatibility was amazing. It was really good, but we had both matured and found ourselves. So I guess my question to you is, does the graph change in relationships and can they survive? So let's
Okay.
say you married someone and they're not there now you're changing. Can it survive?
Okay. The honest truth is We all evolve. The
True.
only constant is change.
Yes.
Right. So, knowing that, we need to understand that there is freedom of choice. And people, unlike traditionally, they were married for life and dare they divorce, it didn't happen. People still changed and stayed together.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they weren't allowed to break up. Now, this is where I think this system can help people.
Okay.
If you are already in a balanced relationship, whether it's imbalanced lion tamer lion, that's a healthy imbalance, okay? Traditional healthy imbalance,
Yes.
or modern equality, which is, your 50-50 or your 60-40 or your
True.
70-30 relationship, yeah,
Yes.
where it's equal because you discuss things and you share leadership and choices and whatever, that can change as well. Because
True.
one person can decide, well, actually, I want someone that's going to listen to
Right.
what I want and then evolve into a different type of person. Now, that can always happen.
Yeah.
That's the risk you take in any relationship. People can change. Things can alter because of peer pressure, because of friends at work saying, "Well, I wouldn't put up with that. You should change. Why are you
Yeah.
doing?" Yeah, people change.
Yeah. Of course.
I've been there. I'm a different person to what I was 20 years ago.
And you would be.
Right. This is what I think, though. And I've asked that question exactly what you said. I look at it like this. If you're in a balanced relationship, and I use this analogy, you're in the same car going to the same destination. One person is either driving and taking the other person to that destination, or you're sharing the equality bit, the driving of that car to the destination. You're in the same car. You are likely to arrive at that place at the same time. If you're in a bad relationship or a bad compatibility, you start in that healthy, oh my God, we're in love, we're infatuated. We all did that. We all did that. We all were absolutely infatuated with the relationship that we failed or broke up with or with the lesson we learnt. We always started positively, didn't we?
Yes.
No one got married hating the person.
No.
But isn't it funny how somewhere down the line, if you break up with them, you literally hate each other? You may not hate each other. I've been fortunate where I've broken up amicably, where we've basically said, look, we're not going to have kids together because we don't really, we've recognized we're not
Right.
compatible. And
Right.
we basically broke up. Okay. I got divorced and I broke up with my fiance at the time, a different relationship. But what my point is, if you're in two separate cars and you start at the same point and you think you're going to that destination and you're going on a road trip, I guarantee you, even though your intention is to arrive at that place, forget sat navs.
Yeah. No, I get that.
You'll follow each other. You're going in that same direction in that relationship. At some point, you will lose each other.
Of course.
And that's inevitable. And that's what I think relationships have been doing. All we've done in life is find someone we like, think they're the love of your life.
Yeah.
It may drift apart, and then today you get divorced. In the past, you sucked it. You basically had to suck it up, didn't you?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
trust me, I did not want a divorce. I did not want to be a statistic. I hated the idea. I'm traditional. I hated the idea of being with someone and they're not my soulmate, my love of my life. But I got to the point where I thought, you know what? Do I really want to have kids with this person? Do they want to have kids with me? I don't want to be the father that visits my kids. I want to
That,
be a person that I can share that parenting together. I wanted that. So I cut and run before, and we decided, let's cut and run. And I am in a happier place now. I think I wouldn't have been in a happy place had I had kids, never have kids for the sake of a relationship to try and resolve a relationship. I think that's wrong. Um, but look, relationships, they happen for us, not to us. You
right.
know, we they're lessons. I think there's a lot of anger in the world. There's a lot of resentment in the world. People are angry. They're, I don't know, they're 45, they're 50. I was late 40s. I could have been angry. I would have probably taken that anger to the next relationship. So I'm thankful I actually worked on myself for 2 years. I stayed celibate for 2 years. I worked on myself much more than just looking for the partner from a sexual level everywhere. I thought I've got to work on myself completely. And that's another book. The Circus Question, Circology, that's the system. But there's another book coming with that whole development, if you like, of relationship. And that's how I coach my clients. I help my clients not just identify what they want, because a lot of people say, I want this. The reality, they'll ask me what I want. They'll say to me, I want this. And I'll say, you know what? I'll give you what you need. I
Right.
will show you what you need because I will prove to you you might want this, but that cycle is that want you've been doing dating, 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 breaking up. You've got to break the cycle to identify what you really need. And oftentimes, people don't know what they need. They think they know what they want. At whatever age. Trust me, I coach 25, 35, 45, 55, and my oldest client was 69, ironically. 69. And she was like, and one of my best clients, she was like, I want to do this dating game and I want to do the online thing and I want to be confident. She was on a dating site that was over 50s. I
Sure.
can't remember the name of it now.
Sure.
A mature dating site. Um, you know, there's someone for everyone.
I
You know,
agree
it's
with
not
that.
it's not quantity, it's quality. And I think if you've got a tool that can help you identify quality, I hate the phrase kiss lots of frogs to find a prince. Because my comment to clients is if you kiss lots of frogs, you will end up with one.
You will. And if you are patient, as you said, kiss lots of frogs and you're patient and you recognize what your needs are and you're selfish enough. And I think you do have to be a little bit selfish because if you're
Totally
not,
selfish.
you're going to try to fix someone else and that never works. So if you've got can identify in the beginning with your app that you have here, Andreas, fabulous. I love this. So if they can identify that in the beginning, now you recognize that before you even get started, you're honest more with yourself. Because I
Totally.
think when you're dating, you think, oh, I can change him, or as you said, you're going to try and fit a square peg into a round hole. It never works. That
Mm,
never works. We know it doesn't. I think in our hearts we know this isn't working. But again, defy it. We think, oh, I'll make it work. And it never does.
exactly. And the problem is once you've invested time and money and effort,
Yeah.
and I don't just mean taking someone on a date, I'm talking about you've committed to a relationship.
Yeah.
It's much harder when you know it's not working to walk away. So surely it's better to look at the CV. I use the work analogy. Look at the CV, interview the person, because this is a form of interview the person and see if you're right for each other. Because
Yeah.
I know for a fact I've never taken jobs on just because they throw money at me. I will go to the job that will give me satisfaction.
Yeah.
They will give me, a future. They will give me something that I don't just want the money. I've taken when I did work for someone, I will take the job that gives me satisfaction, potential, and they value me. And that's how we need to look at relationships. The vision of something, it's very easy to be seduced when you go on that first date and you're across the table and he looks great in his suit and his tie and whatever. When you're back at home and his bad habits are there and you're like, oh
Right?
my God, what
That's
have I married?
exactly what I'm saying. And we have
You
our
know,
own bad habits too, Andreas.
and of
Us
course, listen, we've
ladies
all
have
got
our,
bad habits.
yeah,
No, 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 listen, we're perfectly imperfect. You
exactly.
know, no one's
Exactly.
perfect, and that's something I've had to learn. In fact, I'm a perfectionist, and one of the things I've had to learn is dealing with that perfectionism because it can destroy relationships. Compromise, and you're very right. I know we're running out of time. Selfish. You need to be selfish in what you want, but you know what? You need to find someone that's equally selfish with what
Yeah.
they want and need, and compromise only when you match.
And as
So if
you
your
said, there's an
selfish
ebb and
matches my
flow.
selfish, then you compromise.
Yeah, because then there's an ebb and flow. You're both
Absolutely.
you're both going in the right direction for yourselves. As you said, you're selfish, and now you can go back and forth. Some days you're leading, the next day she's leading, and back and forth, but you have a understanding of why each is leading at those times. You're not fighting each other. You're not trying to draw attention, and you're not trying to change anyone. And now you have a better partnership to grow together. Andreas, thank you for today, but here's what I want to do. So we've had lots of time today, but I want the audience to have a chance to go on your app, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. Andreas, would you be interested in coming back and doing another episode in the next couple of weeks? And then we can have the audience go on, do the apps if they'd like. And then if they have questions, we can have it sent to you, or not. They may just want to know more information. But would you be interested in coming back, Andreas, and doing that?
Absolutely. If you want to, quantify all these, maybe they will message you
Sure.
or me.
I'd
Maybe
like
they'll
them
put
to
them in the
ask
chat.
you because you're the person that they're going to be connected to.
Okay. So in the show, we'll discuss it live, or we'll discuss it on the show. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
that's
Okay.
what I thought.
Absolutely
You
brilliant.
could come back and do that.
Brilliant.
So we'll figure it out, Andreas, of what would be best for the audience. But I think it would be nice for them to be able to go on there and see if they can
Absolutely.
try out the app and see what happens. I'll make sure it's, available to everyone. They can contact me as well. That's no problem. We'll make sure we get it to you. But if we can have all your information, Andreas, then I'll have you back. Let's give it a week or two, have you come back, and then we can go over some things and we'll take it from there. How's that?
That's great. By the way, sometimes people will pick two or more choices,
Oh, okay.
and that's quite important, and we'll discuss that next time.
Yeah,
Unless you want to briefly tell you the two choices. If someone says I'm this, but then I saw that, the first one is where you were and where you're evolving to.
so we might add, not for people not to worry if they're in a relationship, because so whether you're single or in a relationship, we can do the apps and look and
You can still
recognize.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
reckon. So if you're married,
If you've
whatever the
got,
case
yeah,
is.
if you've got a few cracks in your relationship and you want to identify how to navigate those cracks, some of my coaches are using them for couples therapy. By
Sure.
asking the question, you can identify two people and you can identify your roles and actually say, well, actually, the reason why there's conflict in your relationship is because you want this and she wants this. And you could, if you really want to work at it, this is how you can fix this. So
I
the
think
compromise comes from wanting to make the relationship work.
I
But I
think
have three
that's
C's:
fantastic.
communication, compatibility, compromise, in that order.
Communication, compatibility, and
Compatibility,
compromise.
compromise. So you communicate to find compatibility and then you compromise. People do it the other way around often. They will compromise way before they're compatible. And they've compromised. In other words, they've given up their power, they've given up their freedom, and they're trying to force the square peg into the round hole way before they can see their guts saying, we're not compatible, but they've compromised.
Yeah, and it may be the circumstances they're in too, Andreas. It may be that they've been, lonely for a long time and they're choosing
Absolutely.
that. So let's try to help everybody and say it's okay, no matter where you are. And they don't have to give their names or anything, but just
No,
say, okay, let's try the app. Let's see where we're at. And we can take it from there. And Andreas, you're there to help everyone. And I love that you have a book coming out too with your course. I think that's terrific. So we might want to talk to you about that as well.
will do. Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Teresa.
Andreas, you're wonderful. I'm very grateful that you came on today. So, to everyone, this is Andreas. He's our relationship coach. I'll make sure all his information is here, including that app. So, go on there, no matter what relationship you're in, or even if you're not in one like me, just go ahead and see what you're all about. Then you can see your personality. From there, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. I hope you're all having a great day. Do subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. You have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye bye.